Ambassador HFY's mandibles clicked in what passed for laughter among the Zephyrian species as the primitive sound waves reached his auditory receptors. The human delegation had insisted on performing what they called music during the Galactic Council's cultural exchange program, and the results were amusing. Fascinating, he transmitted to his aide through their neural link. The humans actually believe these chaotic vibrations constitute art. Around the grand amphitheater of the council station, representatives from dozens of species exhibited varying degrees of confusion and condescension. The Crystallian hive mind's harmonic resonance patterns were mathematically perfect. The ethereal collective's quantum frequency manipulations could induce transcendent states of consciousness. Even the militant Corvan Empire produced battle hymns that followed strict algorithmic progressions. But humanity's music? It was raw, emotional, seemingly random, a cacophony of instruments that shouldn't work together, voices that cracked with imperfection, rhythms that defied logical structure. The human performer, a young woman named Sarah Chen, finished her piece, something called Bohemian Rhapsody, to polite silence. Her face flushed red, but she bowed gracefully before returning to her delegation section. Perhaps, Ambassador Vexthul of the Corvan Empire announced, his voice carrying across the chamber, humanity should focus on their other talents. Surely their military contributions are more valuable than this auditory chaos. Nervous laughter rippled through the assembly. Everyone knew humanity's military was laughably small compared to the established galactic powers. Earth had only been part of the Galactic Council for 15 cycles, and their technology remained centuries behind the major civilizations. 3 months later, the Devourers arrived. The extragalactic swarm emerged from dark space like a plague of metal locusts, their biomechanical ships stretching across star systems. They had consumed 17 galaxies before discovering this one, and their hunger was infinite. Where they passed, worlds became stripped husks, their resources converted into more ships, more weapons, more devourers. The Galactic Council's response was swift and coordinated. The Crystallian hive mind deployed their geometric formations with mathematical precision. The Corvan Empire's dreadnoughts advanced in perfect battle lines. The ethereal collective manipulated space-time itself to confuse enemy targeting systems. It wasn't enough. The Devourers adapted to every strategy, countered every tactic. Their swarm intelligence processed defensive patterns faster than the Council species could evolve them. Within weeks, 12 core worlds had fallen and the outer rim defenses were crumbling. That's when Admiral Sarah Chen, the same woman who had performed that primitive music, requested an emergency session of the War Council. "You want to do what?" Admiral Vexthul demanded, his scarred carapace gleaming under the briefing room's lights. "Integrate human music into our fleet coordination protocols," Sarah repeated calmly. She stood before the assembled military leaders, her small frame dwarfed by the alien commanders around the holographic display, not as communication, as synchronization. General HFY's mandibles twitched in irritation. "Your music has no tactical applications. Our mathematical formations have proven superior in 10,000 engagements. And the Devourers have adapted to all of them," Sarah replied. "They're processing our patterns because they are patterns. Logical, predictable, optimizable. Human music isn't." She activated her personal display showing waveform analyses, jazz improvisation, polyrhythmic drumming, call-and-response vocals. "Our music is built on organized chaos, structure that contains infinite variation. The Devourer's intelligence can't adapt to something that's constantly adapting to itself." The room fell silent, except for the ambient hum of the station's life support systems. "Even if this theory held merit," Admiral Chris IX of the hive mind chimed, "your species lacks the military assets to test it meaningfully." Sarah smiled, an expression that somehow conveyed both confidence and desperation. "Which is why we're offering our entire cultural database. Every song, every symphony, every beat humanity has ever created. Free access to any species willing to try." The first test came during the defense of the Kepler station. A small mixed fleet, human ships working alongside Zephyrian cruisers, engaged a Devourer scouting force. Instead of traditional tactical coordination, they synchronized their movements to something called the 1812 Overture. The results were unprecedented. The Devourer's adaptive algorithms struggled to predict maneuvers timed to musical crescendos, rather than logical battle progressions. When the human ship suddenly accelerated during the piece's thunderous finale, the enemy formation scattered in confusion. Word spread quickly through the surviving fleets. More commanders requested human music libraries. The Corvan Empire experimented with something called death metal. The ethereal collective found transcendence in human classical compositions. Even the logical Crystalians discovered that jazz improvisation created unpredictable geometric patterns their enemies couldn't counter. The tide began to turn. The final battle occurred in the Sol system, humanity's birthplace and the Devourer's last target before reaching the galactic core. Every surviving ship in the Council fleet gathered there, their crews trained in what military historians would later call musical warfare. As the Devourer swarm approached, Admiral Chen opened a channel to all Allied vessels. Her voice carried across 1,000 ships representing dozens of species. Today we don't just fight for survival. We fight for the right to make beautiful noise in an ordered universe. All ships synchronized to "We Will Rock You." The beat started simple, stomp, stomp, clap. Human ships began the rhythm, their engines pulsing in time. Then the Zephyrians joined, their weapons firing in synchronized bursts. The Corvans added their battle hymns, the Crystalians their harmonic resonance, the Ethereals their quantum frequencies. What emerged was unprecedented in galactic history, a symphony of war played by an orchestra of species, each adding their voice to a composition that grew more complex and beautiful with every passing moment. The Devourer's formation wavered. Their adaptation algorithms, designed to process logical patterns, crashed when confronted with organized chaos on such a massive scale. Ships collided as their coordination failed, their swarm intelligence fragmented, unable to find patterns in the beautiful disorder surrounding them. When the dust settled, the Devourer fleet was broken, its remnants fleeing back to dark space. In the aftermath, as the galaxy celebrated its salvation, Ambassador Kethva found himself humming something, a human tune he'd heard during the battle. The melody was simple, imperfect, and absolutely beautiful. Perhaps, he thought, there was more to humanity's chaotic art than he'd first understood. Perhaps the ability to find harmony in discord, rhythm in randomness, and beauty in imperfection was the greatest weapon of all. The galaxy had laughed at humanity's music. Now it sang along,